Good morning. Today we are continuing to work with those variables and how to work those out. We are doing Po39. This is a power objective. This is really build off of this on future objectives coming up with the rest of Math 6 and with pre-algebra and algebra. So these are really important to know. You're going to want to know this for the math testing that we're taking next Tuesday. This is setting us up for very big stuff coming up. This is the basis of algebra. So we are going to solve an equation with addition or subtraction. What do you think of when you hear the word algebra? Most people think about it solving for a variable. There's so much more to it than that, but variables are a big part of it. Here are 3 ways you might think about how to solve a basic equation. And for today, we're going to use whatever method works best for you. So I'm going to show us some different methods that we are going to use to solve n plus 12 equals 19. And before I do that, if you are one of my friends that comes to me, come on over. I forgot to pass these out. And Emma, I have the one from yesterday over at my desk. I'll get that to you during work time. Okay. So, our 3 different ways we're going to look at to solve n plus 12. We are going to look at logic, opposite operations, and fact families. So our logic, if we have n plus 12 equals 19, we put it into a question. Well, what number plus 12 would equal 19? So we're using that logic. And we can, with the problems that we're working out today, these are going to be more, I can do some mental math with some of these. Okay? This is the start of it. As we build in the next couple of weeks, we're going to get into the more meaty stuff. But for right now, this is just the start of it. So we can do some mental math with that. If we look at that, what number plus 12 equals 19? I can figure that one out in my head. Does anybody know the answer? Sophie? 7. We know what number? Well, we know 7 plus 12 equals 19. So that's one that we could just figure out with mental math. A lot of times using that logic, it's those easier ones that we can do in our head. Opposite operations. So if we have n plus 12 equals 19, what operation is happening in that equation? Liam? Yeah, our operation is adding. But I want to do the opposite operation because I want to move that 12 to the other side of the equal sign. I want to get that variable, the n, all by itself, and I want to know what n equals. So in order to get n all alone, I do opposite operations to go to the opposite side of the equal sign. So what's opposite of adding, Adeline? Subtracting. So if I'm adding 12 on this side, I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. What's 12 minus 12? Liam? 0. So I have n plus 0 equals 19 minus 12. What's 19 minus 12? Emma? 7. So if I have n plus 0, it's just going to equal n, right? Because we're adding 0 to it. So I can take that plus 0 off and just say n equals 7. Look at that. I knew what number plus 12 equaled 19. I knew that was 7. So I could get the same answer using my logic and using those opposite operations. Telling you right now, in the future, we're going to really focus on opposite operations when we get more complicated ones that we're doing. Right now, they're a little bit easier. We can do some mental math with it, so we don't have to do the opposite operations. but in the next week or two, we're gonna be using that opposite operations a lot. So we're gonna really be working on what that means. Our last way that we could solve it is our fact families. So we have n plus 12 equals 19. We could flip that around and say 12 plus n equals 19. Remember, it doesn't matter which way we are adding it. We could say 19 minus 12 equals n, or 19 minus n equals 12. Which one of those fact families do you think we would want to use in order to solve our equation? Sarah? Yeah, that 19 minus 12 equals n. So we know 19 minus 12 is 7. So we can use that fact family, just switching it around to find our answer. We could use the logic, just asking the question, because I can do it with mental math, or we can work it out with that opposite operations. So those are our 3 ways that we are going to focus on today. Let's see what our directions are. Let me scroll up. Using all 3 methods from above, we're going to solve for the variable in the equation. Show how you can check your answer to make sure you are correct. So let's look at what that means. For the logic, we asked a question. So if we look at 14 plus n equals 25, what question would we ask? Emma? Yeah. What number plus 14 equals 25? So what number would I add to 14 to equal 25? Adeline? 11. Next is our opposite operations. So we have to write that equation again. 14 plus n equals 25. So I want to get my n by itself. So I have that 14 there. How do I move that 14 to the other side? How can I zero that out? What should I do? James? Yeah, because when it's a positive 14, it's the same as plus 14, right? If we think about there being a positive sign right next to that 14, it's a positive 14, it's like adding 14. So we want to subtract 14 from both sides. So 14 minus 14 is that 0. So I don't need to write it again, and I have just n. What's 25 minus 14? Sophie? 11. Same answer. One more way. Think about our fact families. How can I switch around my 14 plus n equals 25 to make it the fact family that's going to help us? Sarah? 25 minus 14 equals n, and we know that n would be 11. Those are all 3 ways, so you should have all 3 of those written down. What I write on the board, you write in your binder. Let's look at our next one. N minus 16 equals 4. What is our logic question? What do you think, Neil? Yeah, what number minus 16 equals 4? So in our head, what number do we subtract 16 from to get to 4? Sarah? Say it louder. Did you say 20? Yeah. So if we did 20 minus 16, we would end with 4. Now we're going to do our opposite operations. N minus 16 equals 4. What opposite operation do I have to do? Sarah? I need to add. This is subtracting, so I need to add. What am I going to add, Sarah? Yeah, that's 16, and I'm adding that 16 to both sides. Minus 16 is like a negative 16. So negative 16 plus 16 gets me to that 0. So negative 16 plus 16, we're at 0, so I can just write my n. 4 plus 16 is my 20. Our last one that we have to show is our fact family. What fact family would help me to solve this easily? Emma. 16 plus 4 equals n, and we know 16 plus 4 is 20. And I forgot one important step from my directions. Show how you can check your answer to make sure you are correct. How do you think I check my answer? Any guess? If I'm solving for n and I'm saying n equals 11, what do you think I do? Sarah? Yeah, so Sarah's right. We're going to take our variable and we're going to put it in for our n. Right? So we're going to say, all right, if it's n minus 16, that's 20 minus 16. Does that equal our 4? 20 minus 16 is 4. 4 truly does equal 4. So back at our first one, I'm going to take my n of 11 and I'm going to put it in for the n. So I'm going to say 14 plus 11 equals that 25. So 14 plus 11 is 25. Does that truly equal 25? Why, yes, it does. So to check your answer, you take your variable and you put it back in the equation. You do the math and see, does the two sides equal each other? Let's do our last one. What is our logic question for n minus 14 equals 71? Adeline. What number minus 14 equals 71? What number would that be, James? Not 85. Oh, it is 85. I'm sorry. I did the math wrong in my head. You were correct, James. Good job. All right. Opposite operations. N minus 14 equals 71. What is my opposite operation I need to do? Well, let me see if I can hear a voice I haven't heard yet today. Hudson. The opposite of subtracting is adding. Subtracting 14, I need to add 14 to both sides. Negative 14 plus 14 gets me my 0. 71 plus 14 gets me that 85. And our last one with the fact family. What fact family helps me the most? Let me see on hands, a voice that I haven't heard. Nolan Key. So 71 minus 14 equals n. Is that going to get us the right answer? Because we have subtraction when the 71's over here. So if we're bringing the 71 to this side, we want to switch our operation. And we're going to say 71 plus 14 because we're switching that number to the other side. So 71 plus 14 gets us that 85. Now I need to check my answer to see, did I do my math correctly? So I'm going to put that 85 that I had for my n in for n, minus 14 equals 71. 85 minus 14 is 71, and 71 truly does equal 71. It is a really, 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 really good thing to check your answers. Take that variable that you found, put it back into the original problem and see, does the one side actually equal the other side? If it does not equal it, you did something wrong with your math. That's your clue to go back and try it again. Find that mistake and fix it up. So you really, truly want to check your answers. Let's look at our second page. So the first page we did all together. Our second page is our work page. Which method is your favorite? Use it to solve the equations below. You only have to use one method. You can switch up which method you're using for different ones. You don't have to use the same one every single time, but you do have to use a method and show your work. You can't just put an answer because you did mental math. Write down the logic question that you asked yourself and then put the answer. Write the opposite fact, or not the opposite, the right fact family to get your answer. And then I want you to check your work. Like we did at the end, put that variable that you found for your answer into the equation and see, does that answer work? So I should see your work for which method you use, and I should see you checking your answer. You only have to use one method each time. You can change it up. Doesn't matter which method you use, they all give us the same answer. And then at the bottom, we have a word problem using addition and subtraction. Each one, so you're going to write two equations. So you're going to write one equation using addition, one equation using subtraction. Sorry, two equations using addition, two equations using subtraction. So we have 4 equations total with a variable value of 5. So our n, we're going to know, equals 5. So the way that I do this, let me put it up a little higher. The way I do this is I write an equation using 5 to start with, and then I end it by putting that n in for the 5. So I could say 6 plus 5 equals 11. So I'm going to take that 5 out and say 6 plus n equals 11. That is one subtraction problem. Now I'm going to use fact families for my subtraction to go with it and say 11 minus 5 equals 6. I'm going to take that 5 out and say 11 minus n equals 6. Your variable needs to be in the plus or the minus side, not the equal side. We don't want it to equal 5. We want it to be inside there so I can put my n in and it'll look like the work we've just been doing. So I gave us one set. You need to do your own set because it says 2 addition and 2 subtraction. I give us 1 addition, 1 subtraction. So you're going to come up with your own addition and subtraction. Right? When we come back from our specialist time, we are going to have work time to work on this. So we will have some time after specialist to do the work time and for me to answer any questions that you have. If you are watching this at home, I hope you are well and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day. If you